The crowbar hit the wall with a sharp crack. Wood splintered. Dust exploded into the air. Catherine Whitfield was 78 years old. Her hands shook. Her hip ached. But she swung that crowbar like she was 25. One more strike. The plank gave way. Behind it, darkness. Not the darkness of an empty space. The darkness of a room that had been sealed for 54 years. Kate stepped back. Her chest tightened. She'd driven 5 hours from Connecticut to this abandoned tannery in Millbrook, Pennsylvania. The building her mother left her. The building her mother had locked up in 1971 and never spoke about again. She'd come here to prove something, to prove her children wrong. 3 weeks ago, her daughter Victoria had said, "Mom, you can't live alone anymore. We're putting you in Meadowbrook." Kate had said no. Victoria had said, "Then we'll petition for guardianship." That's when Kate stopped being a polite mother. That's when she became a woman with something to prove. She shined her flashlight through the hole in the wall. Not a closet, not a storage space. A room. A whole room. With a bed, a desk, a kitchen. Someone had lived here. And on the desk, a stack of letters, dozens of them, all addressed to the same person, her mother. Kate picked up the first envelope. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. She was about to discover a secret that would rewrite everything she thought she knew about her own life. The ultimatum. The conference call was scheduled for 2 o'clock. Kate knew what that meant. Nothing good ever happened at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. 2 o'clock was when banks called about overdue mortgages, when doctors scheduled the appointments that started with, "I'm afraid we need to talk." When children who never called suddenly had time for a family meeting, Kate sat in her kitchen in Hartford, Connecticut, the house she'd lived in for 43 years. The house where she'd raised 2 children, buried 1 husband, survived 1 cancer scare, and 3 presidential elections that made her want to drink. Her phone buzzed. Right on time. She answered. "Hi, Mom." Victoria's voice, crisp, professional. The voice she used with difficult clients. Kate's stomach dropped. "Hello, sweetheart." Nate's on the line, too. "Hey, Mom." Nathaniel. Her baby. Except he was 48 and hadn't been a baby since Reagan was president. Kate gripped the phone tighter. "So," Victoria cleared her throat. The lawyer throat clear. The one that meant she'd rehearsed this. "We wanted to talk to you about something important. Here it comes. We're worried about you." Kate closed her eyes. "I'm fine." "Mom." Nate this time. Softer. Which somehow made it worse. "You fell. Twice this month. I tripped. You broke your wrist in September. That was the cat. You don't have a cat anymore. Whiskers died in 2019. Silence. Kate looked at her wrist. The cast had come off 2 weeks ago. The bone had healed. But the fear in her children's voices, that hadn't healed at all. "We think." Victoria paused. Lawyer pause. Calculated. "We think it's time to consider other living arrangements." Other living arrangements. Kate had been married to a lawyer for 37 years. She knew euphemisms when she heard them. "You want to put me in a home." An assisted living facility. Victoria's voice got sharper, defensive. Meadowbrook. It's beautiful. They have activities, a library. You'd love it. I have a library. It's called my house. Mom, I'm not going. Silence on the line. Then Nate. Sweet Nate. Who'd cried at his own wedding. Who still sent her flowers on Mother's Day. Mom, please, we're scared. What if you fall and we're not there? What if something happens and you're alone? Kate's chest tightened. Because that was the thing. She was alone. Had been for 27 years. Since James died in 1998. Since the day she became Catherine Whitfield. Widow. Instead of Catherine Whitfield. Wife. But being alone didn't mean being helpless. I appreciate your concern. Kate's voice steadied. Got cold. The voice she'd used when the kids were teenagers and tried to negotiate curfew. But I'm 78, not 8. I can make my own decisions. Can you though, Victoria? Of course. Kate's hand clenched. Excuse me. Can you make your own decisions because from where I'm sitting, from where Nate's sitting, it looks like you're becoming a danger to yourself. A danger to yourself. Medical language, legal language. The kind of language that showed up in court documents when children petitioned for guardianship of their parents. Kate stood up. Her hip protested. She ignored it. Are you threatening me? We're trying to help you. By taking away my independence, by treating me like I'm incompetent. Nobody said incompetent. You didn't have to. Kate's voice cracked. Just a little. Just enough to make her hate herself. I raised you both. I worked full-time and raised you both after your father died. I put you through college, through law school Victoria, through business school Nathaniel. And this is how you repay me. Silence. Long silence. Then Victoria. Quiet now. Tired. If you won't go willingly, we'll petition for guardianship. The words hit like a slap. Kate's vision blurred. You wouldn't. We would. We will. Because we love you. And we're not going to stand by and watch you hurt yourself. Kate hung up. Her hands were shaking. No, not shaking. Trembling. Like leaves, like an old woman. Which is what she was. An old woman her children were trying to lock away. She sat back down, put her head in her hands, and for the first time in 27 years, since James's funeral, Catherine Whitfield cried. June's intervention. The doorbell rang at 6. Kate hadn't moved from the kitchen table. She'd sat there for 4 hours, watching the sun move across the floor, watching the shadows lengthen, thinking about nursing homes and guardianship petitions, and all the ways your children could betray you with kindness. The doorbell rang again. Kate stood, slowly. Her hip screamed. She ignored it. Through the peephole. June Ellis, 76 years old, best friend for 40 years, holding a casserole and a bottle of wine. Kate opened the door. I heard. June pushed past her, headed straight for the kitchen, started opening cabinets. Tori called me, said you hung up on her. Said some things were said. Some things. She's worried about you. She wants to lock me up. June pulled out 2 wine glasses. Poured. Generous pours. The kind you make when the conversation is going to be long and hard. She wants to keep you safe. Same thing. It's not, though. June handed Kate a glass. Clinked. Safe is bubble wrap. Lock up is prison. There's a difference. They drank. June set down her glass. Looked at Kate. Really looked. You fell twice. I tripped. You broke your wrist. The cat is dead. Has been for 6 years. Stop lying to me, Katie. Kate flinched. Nobody called her Katie anymore. James had. Her mother had. Back when her mother still remembered her name. Back when her mother was still alive. I'm scared. Kate's voice broke. I'm scared, June. They want to take everything from me. My house, my independence, my right to make my own damn decisions. So prove them wrong. Kate looked up. June leaned forward. Your mother left you that property. In Millbrook. The tannery. I can't sell it. The will says. I know what the will says. I was there when Rosemary's lawyer read it. Cannot be sold for profit, but it doesn't say you can't go look at it. Doesn't say you can't figure out what the hell your mother was hiding all those years. Kate's breath caught. Because that was the thing about the tannery. Her mother had never talked about it. Never explained why she'd kept it locked up for 54 years. Why she'd fled Millbrook in 1971 and never gone back. Why the one time Kate had asked about it, when she was 12. Rosemary had looked at her with eyes like ice and said, The past is the past, Catherine. Don't dig where nothing grows. What am I supposed to find there? June smiled. Sharp. Knowing. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. But at least you'll be doing something. Instead of sitting here waiting for your children to decide your future for you. Kate stared at her wine glass. Then she drank. All of it. Set the glass down hard. I'll need someone to feed the plants. June grinned. I'll need someone to come with me. Already packed. The road to Millbrook. They left at dawn. Kate drove. Because she could. Because she needed to prove to herself that she could still drive 5 hours without getting lost or confused or whatever else Victoria thought was going to happen. June rode shotgun, played DJ, went through Kate's entire music library, and complained about every choice. Fleetwood Mac. Again. It's a classic. It's a cliché. You loved it in 1977. I was high in 1977. Everything was better. Kate laughed. Real laugh. First one in weeks. They drove south, through Connecticut, into New York, through the endless stretch of I-84 that looked like every other highway in America. Gray, flat, boring. Kate's hands gripped the wheel. She hadn't driven this far in years. Usually Nate drove when they visited, or Tori, or she just didn't go. But today, right now, she needed to feel the wheel, the road, the proof that she could still do this. You okay? June asked. Fine. Your knuckles are white. Kate loosened her grip, just focusing. You're allowed to be nervous. I'm not nervous. You're terrified. Kate glanced at her. June smiled. Soft this time. It's okay to be terrified. You're driving 5 hours to a building your mother locked up before you were 30. To a town she ran away from. To a mystery she took to her grave. Terrified is appropriate. Kate's throat tightened. What if there's nothing there? Then there's nothing there. And you drive home. And you tell Tori and Nate that you went on a road trip by yourself and didn't die. And maybe they back off. And if there is something... June looked out the window. Then maybe you finally get some answers. Arriving in Millbrook, they crossed into Pennsylvania at noon. The landscape changed, got hillier, greener. The kind of green that only happens in late spring when everything is growing and nothing has died yet. Kate felt something shift in her chest. She'd been born here, in Millbrook, in the hospital that was now a Dollar General. She'd lived here until she was 2, until her mother packed up everything, married James, moved to Connecticut, never looked back, never explained why. Kate had asked once, only once. Why did we leave Pennsylvania, Mom? Rosemary had been folding laundry. Kate was 12. It was 1959. They were in the little house in Hartford, the house that would become Kate's house after her mother died. Rosemary's hands had stopped mid-fold, because there was nothing left there for us. But you grew up there. I did. Don't you miss it? No. That was it. No, one word. End of conversation. Rosemary had finished folding, walked away, and Kate had learned not to ask. Now, 66 years later, Kate was driving back to find out what her mother had run from. Millbrook hadn't changed much. Population 3,847, according to the sign, down from 4,200 when Rosemary had left. Main Street was one street, with a diner, a hardware store, a post office, a library that looked like it was losing the fight against Amazon. And at the end of Main Street, past the defunct movie theater, past the empty lot where the elementary school used to be, the tannery. Kate pulled into the gravel parking lot, stopped, stared. 3 stories of red brick, windows boarded up, chain across the main doors. The kind of building that looked like it was one strong wind away from collapse. Jesus, June breathed. Your mom owned this. My grandfather built it. 1923. Samuel Hayes. Leatherworks. It's huge. It was. And it was hers. Kate turned off the engine. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then June opened her door. Well, we didn't drive 5 hours to sit in the car. Kate grabbed her purse, the keys the lawyer had given her. 3 keys on a brass ring. She didn't know what any of them opened. She was about to find out. Inside the tannery, they walked to the front door. Kate's hip ached. She ignored it, pulled out the keys, tried the first one, didn't fit. Second one, click. The padlock opened. The chain fell, hit the ground with a sound like a death rattle. Kate pushed. The door groaned, opened 6 inches, then stopped. Stuck. June pushed too. Together they shoved. The door gave way, and they were inside. The smell hit first. Dust, mold, rot. 54 years of decay. Kate pulled out her phone, turned on the flashlight, swept it across the space. Equipment everywhere. Old leather cutting tables. Vats that had once held tanning chemicals. Tools hung on walls, rusted, broken, forgotten. This is where your grandfather worked until he died, 1952. And then, my mother kept it running for a while. She was 25, took over the business, ran it until 1971. What happened in 1971? Kate didn't answer, because she didn't know. 1971 was the year her mother had locked this place, moved to Connecticut, never spoke of Millbrook again. 1971 was the year something happened, and Kate was standing in the middle of it. They explored the first floor. Nothing but equipment, dust, evidence of a business that had died decades ago. Then Kate saw the stairs. Second floor. June nodded. They climbed. The steps creaked. Kate's hips screamed. She climbed anyway. The false wall. The second floor was different. Open space. Windows along one wall. Boarded up, but you could see where light would have come through. This must have been the workshop, where the actual leather work happened. Kate walked the perimeter. Something felt wrong. She counted her steps, wall to wall. 35 feet. Then she went outside, walked the length of the building, came back in. 50 feet. She did the math twice. 35 inside. 50 outside. 15 feet missing. June. Yeah. Come here. June walked over. Kate knocked on the back wall. Solid. Then she moved 3 feet left. Knocked again. Hollow. June's eyes widened. Is that a false wall? They looked at each other. Kate pulled the crowbar from her bag, the one she'd brought just in case, because 78-year-old women who'd been threatened with nursing homes came prepared. She wedged it into the seam between two boards, pulled. The wood splintered. Again. The plank cracked, came away in her hands. Behind it, darkness and a door, a steel door, painted black, with a brass lock that looked like it had never been opened, except Kate knew it had, because she had the key. She pulled out the key ring, the third key, the one she hadn't used yet, slid it into the lock, turned. Click. The door opened. Cold air rushed out. Not warm. Cold. Like the room behind had been holding its breath for 54 years. Kate shined her light inside. Not a closet. A room. A whole room. 15 by 20 feet. Finished floor. Plastered walls. A bed in the corner. A desk by the window. A kitchen counter with a sink and a hot plate. Bookshelves lined with books. And on the desk, photographs. 6 of them. In frames. The photographs. Kate stepped inside, picked up the first frame. A baby. maybe 6 months old, lying on a blanket, laughing, written on the back in careful handwriting. Katie, March 1947. Kate's hands started shaking. Second photograph. A little girl, 5 years old, standing in front of a Christmas tree. Katie, December 1951. Third photograph. A teenager, awkward, braces, standing in front of Millbrook High School. Katie, first day, September 1959. Fourth, fifth, sixth. Her whole childhood, her whole life, documented, photographed, kept by someone who lived in this room. Kate set down the frames, looked at the desk. A wallet, old leather, worn smooth. She opened it. Driver's license. Pennsylvania. Issued 1946. The photograph showed a young man, maybe 22. Dark hair. Serious eyes. Name: Thomas Joseph Hayes. Her mother's brother. The brother who died in World War II. Except the license was issued in 1946. The war ended in 1945. Kate's vision blurred. She sat down hard on the bed. June was beside her in seconds. Katie, what is it? Kate handed her the license. June read it, looked at the photographs, looked back at Kate. Your uncle was supposed to be dead. When did he die? 1945. Okinawa. My mother told me. He was her older brother. He went to war. He never came back. Then who took these pictures? Kate's breath came short, fast, because someone had taken these pictures. Someone had lived in this room. Someone had watched her grow up from this hidden space behind a false wall in a tannery in Millbrook, Pennsylvania. Someone her mother knew about. Had to have known about. Because these pictures, these photographs, someone had been close enough to take them, close enough to watch, to document, to keep. There, June pointed to the desk. An envelope, cream-colored, expensive paper, written on the front in handwriting Kate recognized. Her mother's handwriting. For Catherine, from your mother, Rosemary. Rosemary's letter. Kate picked it up. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She opened it. Inside, one sheet of paper, dated February 2010, 15 years ago, right before her mother's dementia got bad. She read, My dearest Catherine, if you are reading this, I am dead, and you have found the room. I hoped you never would. I also hoped you would. The room belonged to my brother Thomas, your uncle, the man you were told died in the Pacific. He did not die. He came home in 1946, injured, changed. He did not want the world to see what the war had done to him, so he let everyone believe he was dead, including you. I was the only one who knew. I brought him food, books, news of the world, news of you. He lived in this room for 25 years, until he died in 1971. Heart attack. He was 47 years old. I locked the room after he died. I locked the tannery. I moved away, because I could not bear to be near the place where he had lived in hiding, where I had helped him hide. I'm sorry I never told you. I'm sorry for many things. Read his letters. They are in the metal box under the bed. 63 letters, written to me over the years, never sent, never needed. Read them. Then you will understand. I loved my brother. I loved you. Those two truths lived together in my heart for 78 years. Forgive me if you can. Your mother. Kate folded the letter. Her hands were steady now. Because this was real. Her uncle had lived, had watched her grow up, had died in this room, and her mother had known, had kept the secret for 54 years. June's voice, soft. Katie. Kate looked up. June was holding a metal box, army green, the kind soldiers carried, under the bed, like she said. Kate took it, opened it. Inside, exactly 63 letters, all addressed to Rosemary Ann Hayes, all in the same careful handwriting as the photograph captions, all unsent. Kate looked at June. Her voice was barely a whisper. She knew. My mother knew he was alive, knew he was here. For 25 years. June sat beside her on the bed. Yes. Kate stared at the letters, at the truth her mother had hidden for 54 years, at the uncle who had loved her from shadows, at the life she thought she knew, which was about to change forever. Reading the letters, Kate and June sat on the floor of Thomas's hidden room, backs against the wall, the metal box between them. 63 letters, a lifetime of secrets. Kate pulled out the first envelope. Her hands were steady now, decided. She needed to know. All of it. The handwriting was neat, careful, like someone who had learned penmanship in school and never forgot. Like someone who had all the time in the world to make every letter perfect. October 1946. Dear Rose, I know you cannot receive this letter. I know I will never send it. But I need to write. Because if I do not write, if I do not put words to paper, I think I will disappear entirely. I came home 3 weeks ago. You found me 2 weeks ago. You have visited me every day since. You bring me food, books, news of the outside world. You tell me about Father, about the tannery, about your engagement to James Whitfield. You do not ask me about the war. I am grateful for that, because I cannot tell you about the war, cannot tell you about Okinawa, about the fire, about waking up in a field hospital with bandages where my face used to be. The army told Father I was dead, MIA, missing in action, presumed killed. I let them believe it. When I was well enough to travel, when the doctors released me. I did not go home. I came here instead, to the tannery, to this room I built in secret. Better to be dead than to be seen like this. You cried when you found me. Cried for an hour. I tried to send you away. You refused. You said, "Tommy, you are still you." But I am not Rose. I am what the war made me. And I cannot let anyone else see that. So I stay here, in this room, and you visit. And I pretend that is enough. Your brother, Thomas. Kate's hands trembled. She set down the letter, looked at June. He was alive. Yes. He came home. Yes. And my mother. She knew. She knew the whole time. June didn't answer, because there was no answer. Just the truth. Sitting in a metal box, 63 letters worth of truth. The hidden love. Kate picked up the second letter. November 1946. Dear Rose, you ask me today why I will not see Father, why I will not let him know I am alive. I told you, because I am not his son anymore. You said. That is not true, but it is Rose. It is. The boy who left for war in 1943. That boy died on Okinawa. What came back is something else, something broken. Father deserves better than a broken son. You deserve better than a broken brother. But you keep coming anyway. Today you brought me Whitman, Leaves of Grass. You remembered it was my favorite. I read it after you left, the same poems I read before the war. But they sound different now. I am large. I contain multitudes. Except I do not feel large. I feel small. Contained. Like this room is the only space I'm allowed to occupy. But you keep coming. And that, Rose, that is everything. Kate read faster. Letter 3, 4, 5, and each one a window into a man living in hiding. A man watching the world through his sister's visits, through the food she brought, the books, the stories. Letter 6 mentioned James. You told me today that James proposed, that you said yes, that the wedding is set for November. I congratulated you. You smiled. I lied. Because, Rose, I need to tell you something I have never told anyone. Kate stopped. Her heart kicked. She knew what was coming. She read anyway. I am in love with you. I have been in love with you since the day Father married your mother. Since the day you walked into our house at 15 years old. With your hair in braids. With your laugh that sounded like music. We are not blood. We are not truly brother and sister. Just two people whose parents married. But the world will not see it that way. So I enlisted, went to war, tried to forget you. I did not forget you, and now I am here, in this room, and you are marrying James Whitfield, and I am happy for you. I am also dying inside. But I will smile when you tell me about the wedding. I will congratulate you. I will be the brother you need me to be, because that is all I can be. Your brother. Thomas. Kate set down the letter, stood up, walked to the window. Her reflection stared back. 78 years old. Gray hair. Lines around her eyes. The face of a woman who thought she knew her own story. He loved her. Kate's voice cracked. He loved my mother. June was reading too, 3 letters ahead. Katie, you need to read number 8. Kate turned, took the letter June held out. The night that changed everything, March 1946. 4 months after Rosemary found Thomas. Dear Rose, you found me yesterday in a state I hoped you would never see. I had not slept in 4 days. The nightmares, they do not stop, Rose. Every time I close my eyes, I am back on that beach, back in the fire. You held me while I shook. You did not speak. You just held me. When I finally calmed, you told me something. You said, Tommy, I made a mistake. I asked what you meant. You said, I should not have married James. My heart stopped. You said, I love him. He is a good man. But he is not you. I told you. Rose, do not say such things. You said, why not? If they are true. I told you. Because we cannot. Because the world will not understand. You said, then we will not tell the world. And Rose, God forgive me. You stayed. Kate's breath stopped. June was watching her. Katie. She stayed. Yes. They, my mother and Thomas, they, keep reading. Kate's hands shook so hard she almost dropped the letter. She kept reading. You stayed until dawn. We talked. We cried. We held each other like 2 people who had been drowning and finally found shore, and then rose. Then we sinned. I know it was wrong. I know God will judge us. I know if anyone found out, it would destroy you. Destroy your marriage. Destroy everything. But I cannot regret it, because for one night, for 6 hours, I was not a broken soldier hiding in a room. I was a man who loved a woman, and she loved me back. You left at dawn. James was due home from his business trip. You kissed me goodbye. You said, this cannot happen again. I said, I know. You said, I love James. I will be a good wife to him. I said, I know. You said, but I will always love you. And Rose, that is enough. That is more than enough. Your Thomas, Kate, sat down hard. The math clicked into place. March 1946. Wait, no. She flipped to the next letter. June 1946. There it was. The letter marked June 1946 told the same story. The night, the sin, the goodbye. Kate did the calculation. June 1946, plus 9 months. March 1947. She was born March 1947. No. No, no, no. June's hand on her shoulder. Katie, breathe. I can't. I can't because if that night was June and I was born March, then James wasn't your father. The words hung in the air. Kate looked at June. Thomas was my father. June nodded. Slow, certain. Identity crisis. Kate stood, paced. Her hip screamed. She ignored it. My whole life, I thought I was Catherine Whitfield, daughter of James and Rosemary. But I'm not. I'm Catherine Hayes, daughter of Thomas and Rosemary, daughter of a man who lived in hiding, daughter of a woman who lied to me for 78 years. Katie. She lied June. She looked me in the eye every day of my childhood and lied. She let me call James Daddy. Let me believe. Let me think. Kate's voice broke. She sank back onto the bed, put her face in her hands, and sobbed. Deep, wrenching. The kind of crying that comes from a place you did not know existed. June sat beside her, did not speak, just sat. And that was everything. The story in letters. They read all 63 letters. It took 6 hours. They sat on the floor of Thomas's hidden room, backs against the wall, passing letters back and forth, reading the story of a love that should not have existed, but did anyway. Letter 12. Thomas wrote about hearing Kate cry through the walls. Newborn Kate, 3 weeks old, in the house next door, which was not next door, was the same building, just the floor below. I hear her crying, your daughter Rose. I do not know what to call her. I hear her and I want to go to her, want to hold her, want to tell her, you are loved, you are so loved, but I cannot, because I am dead to the world. So I listen, and when she stops crying, when I hear you singing to her, I imagine that is enough. Letter 23. Thomas wrote about watching Kate learn to walk. Through the window, Rosemary had brought her outside, let her toddle in the grass. She fell 6 times, got up 7. She is strong, Rose, like you. I wish I could tell her that. Letter 38. Kate was 12, had her first heartbreak. Some boy named Danny who kissed her then told everyone she was a bad kisser. You told me about Danny. I wanted to find him, wanted to tell him, my daughter. No, your daughter. She is worth 10 of you. But I stayed here, and I wrote this instead. And I hope somehow, someday, she knows. Letter 47. Kate's high school graduation. Thomas had gotten a photograph. Rosemary had brought it. Kate in her cap and gown, smiling. 18 years old. About to leave for college. She looks like you, Rose. Same eyes, same smile. I have watched her grow up through photographs, through your stories, through the sound of her voice when she visits you. She does not know I exist, and that is how it should be. But God rose. I am so proud of her. Thomas's final request. Letter 63. The last one. Dated August 1971. 1 month before Thomas died. Dear Rose, my heart is failing. The doctor you brought, the one who will not ask questions. He says I have 6 months, maybe less. I am not afraid. I have lived 25 years longer than I should have. 25 years of watching Katie grow, of loving you from this room, of being alive, even if the world thinks I am dead. That is more than most men get. But I need to ask you something. When I die, when this heart finally gives out, will you tell her, will you tell Katie about me? Not now, not while I am alive. That would only hurt her. But someday, when she's older, when she can understand, will you tell her that her father, her real father, loved her every single day of her life, even if he could not hold her, could not be there, could not give her anything but photographs and prayers? Will you tell her I trust your judgment, Rose? Whatever you decide, I will accept. I love you. I love Katie. Those are the only 2 truths that matter. You're Thomas. Kate folded the letter, set it carefully back in the box, looked at June. She never told me. No, he asked her to. He died. And she never told me. June said nothing, because what was there to say? Rosemary had made a choice, had kept the secret, had let Kate believe James was her father, had taken the truth to her grave, had left it here, in a locked room, in a box of letters, for Kate to find, or not find, 54 years after Thomas died. The question of forgiveness. I don't know if I can forgive her. Kate's voice was hollow. My mother. I don't know if I can forgive her for this. You don't have to decide right now, but I have to decide something, because I can't just sit here with this, with the knowledge that my entire life is a lie. Not a lie. June's voice was firm. James raised you, loved you, was your father in every way that mattered, except biology. Biology is science, Katie. Love is what makes a father. Kate looked at her. You sound like a greeting card. I sound like someone who knows. My stepfather raised me. My biological father left when I was 3. Who do you think I called Dad? Kate's eyes filled. But James knew. Had to have known. The dates. June to March. That is 9 months. He had to have done the math. Maybe he did. And he stayed anyway. Maybe he did that too. James's journal. Kate stood, walked to the desk, opened the drawer. Empty. Opened the second drawer. A notebook. Brown leather. Worn. She pulled it out, opened it. The handwriting was different. messier, masculine. James's handwriting. Kate's breath caught. First page. Personal journal. James A. Whitfield. 1950. She turned the page, March 15th, 1950. I met him today. Thomas Hayes. Rose's brother. The one who is supposed to be dead. Except he is not dead. He is living in a room behind a false wall in his family's tannery. And Rose has been visiting him since 1946. She told me last night. Told me everything. I was angry at first, furious. She had been lying to me for 4 years. But then she took me to meet him, and I understood. Kate's vision blurred. She kept reading. He is a broken man. The war destroyed him, not just his body, though the scars are terrible, but his mind, his spirit. He shook when he spoke to me, could barely look me in the eye. He said, "I am sorry. I am so sorry." She told me you know. I said, "I know." He said, "I will leave. I will go. I will never see her again." I said, "No." He looked at me then, really looked. I said, "You love her?" He said, "Yes." I said, "So do I." We stared at each other. Two men who loved the same woman. And then I said something I did not plan to say. I said, "Stay." He said, "What?" I said, "Stay. Keep living here. Keep letting Rose visit. Because if you leave, she will blame herself. And I cannot live with that." He said, "What about Katie?" I said, "Katie is mine." He said, "Biologically," I said, "biology does not matter. I am raising her. I am her father. You are. You are something else." He said, "What?" I said, "You are the man who gave her life. I am the man who gives her a life. Both are important." We shook hands, and I left. And I have not told Rose about this conversation, because she does not need to know. She just needs to know that I love her. And I love Katie. And that is enough. The burial. Kate closed the journal, hands shaking. James had known from the beginning. He had known and stayed. Had raised her anyway. Had been her father anyway. June. I am reading it. June had the journal now. Was flipping through pages. Katie. There is more. She handed the journal back. Open to 1971. September 12th, 1971. Thomas died last night. Heart attack. Rose found him this morning. Called me from the tannery. I went immediately. He was on the bed, still warm, eyes closed. Peaceful. Rose was not peaceful. She was destroyed. I held her while she cried. And then I did what needed to be done. I carried him out, through the back door, into the woods behind the tannery, where no one would see. We buried him there. Rose and I dug the grave together, laid him to rest. No marker, no funeral, no record. Just a man who loved, and was loved, and died alone. Rose said, I cannot be here anymore. Cannot be in this town, in this building. I said, then we leave. And we did. We moved to Connecticut the next week. Locked the tannery. Never came back. Rose has not spoken his name since, but I know she thinks of him every day. Just like I think of the man who gave me my daughter and the woman who loved us both. Kate closed the journal again, set it on the desk, turned to June. He knew. He helped her bury him. He kept the secret. Yes. Why? Why would he do that? June stood, walked to Kate, put both hands on her shoulders. Because he loved her. Because he loved you. Because love is not about possession, Katie. It is about sacrifice. But, no buts. James Whitfield was your father. Thomas Hayes was your father. Both truths can exist. Both men loved you. Both men shaped who you are. Kate's throat closed. I don't know who I am anymore. You are Catherine Whitfield, daughter, mother, widow, survivor. You are a woman who drove 5 hours to prove her children wrong, who broke through a wall to find the truth, who is standing here, right now, learning that her life is more complicated than she thought. That is not comforting. It is not meant to be. It is meant to be true. Kate laughed. A terrible, broken, honest laugh. And then she cried again. But this time June cried too. The cassette tape. They found the trunk an hour later. Kate had stopped crying, had washed her face with water from the sink, had sat on the bed and tried to process everything. 63 letters, a journal, 2 fathers, 1 mother, a lifetime of secrets. And she was 78 years old, discovering it all now. June was searching the room, looking for. Kate did not know what. More secrets, probably. More revelations. Katie. Kate looked up. June was on her knees, peering under the bed. There is something back here. She pulled. A trunk, military green, with brass latches. She dragged it out, set it in front of Kate. You open it. Kate stared at the trunk, wondered what else could possibly be hidden. What other truth could be waiting? She opened the latches, lifted the lid. Inside, clothes. Thomas's clothes. Army uniform. Civilian shirts. All neatly folded, like someone had packed them carefully, preserved them. Beneath the clothes, a box, wooden, hand-carved. Kate lifted it out, opened it. Inside, a cassette tape, label in James's handwriting, for Katie. Play after I am gone. 1995. Kate's hands went numb. 1995. The year James died. He had made this, had left it here, had waited 24 years for her to find it. We need a cassette player. June was already moving. There has to be one here. Thomas would have had one. She found it on the bookshelf, old, dusty, but when she plugged it in, miracle. It worked. Kate inserted the tape, pressed play, static. Then, James's voice, weak, raspy, the voice of a man dying of cancer. But still, James's final message, Katie. If you are hearing this, I am dead, and you found Thomas's room, and you know the truth. I am sorry, not for keeping the secret, but for not being there when you learned it. I want you to know something. You are my daughter, not biologically, but in every other way that matters. I changed your diapers, walked you to school, taught you to ride a bike, to drive a car, to stand up for yourself. I walked you down the aisle when you married. I held you when you cried after your first miscarriage. I was there. Thomas was not there. Not because he did not want to be, but because he could not be. And that, Katie, that is the difference between a father and a parent. A father is biology, a parent is choice. I chose you every single day. Thomas loved you. From that room, from his hiding place, he loved you with everything he had. But I was the one who showed up, and that matters. I need you to know. I never resented you, never wished you were not mine, never saw you as anything other than my daughter. Because you were. You are. Blood does not make a family, Katie. Love does. I loved your mother, despite everything, despite knowing about Thomas, despite knowing you were his. I loved her because she was Rose, because she was kind and strong and trying her best in an impossible situation. And I loved you because you were you, not because of whose DNA you carried, but because of who you became. Smart, funny, stubborn. God, you are stubborn. You got that from me. I am claiming that. The tape crackled. James coughed. Long, painful. Then his voice again, softer. I am dying, Katie. The cancer, it is winning. I have maybe a week left, but I am not afraid because I got to be your father. I got to watch you grow. I got to love you. That is more than enough, more than any man deserves. Do not be angry at your mother. She did what she thought was right. Do not be angry at Thomas. He loved you the only way he could. And do not be angry at yourself for not knowing, for not seeing. You were a child. You deserve to be a child. And now you are a woman, and you know, and you get to decide what to do with that knowledge. I hope you forgive us I hope you understand. I hope you know. You had two fathers, and we both loved you. Goodbye, Katie. Live well. Your dad. Forgiveness. The tape ended. Kate sat in silence, June beside her. Neither moved until Kate spoke, voice steady, calm, decided. I forgive them. June looked at her. All of them. Thomas, Rosemary, James. I forgive them. Katie, because they were trying, in their own broken way. They were trying to do the right thing. Thomas hid because he thought he was protecting everyone. Rosemary lied because she thought she was protecting me. James stayed because he loved us both. Kate stood, looked around the room, at the bed where Thomas had slept, the desk where he had written, the photographs of her life. They were not perfect, but they loved me. Both of them, Thomas and James. They both loved me. Yes, and that. June. That is enough. Kate picked up the cassette tape, the letters, the journal. We are taking these, all of it, and we are going home. What about the room? Kate looked at the hidden space, the secret that had been kept for 54 years. We leave it, for now, but we do not lock it, not anymore. And the tannery. Kate smiled, small, but real. I have an idea about that. The summons. Kate made the call from the parking lot of a diner in Millbrook, 7 in the morning, Connecticut time, which meant her children would be awake, getting ready for work, drinking coffee, living their perfectly organized lives. She dialed Victoria first. 2 rings. Mom, I need you to come to Pennsylvania. Silence. Then, what? You heard me. I need you and Nathaniel to drive to Millbrook, Pennsylvania. Today. Mom, I have court. Nate has meetings. We cannot just... You can, and you will, because I am your mother, and I am asking you. More silence. Kate could hear Victoria breathing, could picture her face, the lawyer face, the one that calculated odds and angles and how to win. Is something wrong? Something is very right. For the first time in 78 years, something is very right. Mom, I will text you the address. Be here by 2. Both of you. Kate hung up, called Nathaniel. He answered on the first ring. Mom, Tori just called. She said, 2 o'clock, the old tannery on Main Street. Do not be late. But, Nathaniel, please. Her voice cracked, just enough. And Nate, sweet Nate, who could never resist his mother's sadness. Okay, Mom. I will be there. Thank you. Kate hung up, looked at June. They are coming. Are you ready for this? Kate thought about the letters, the journal, the cassette tape, the truth she had carried for 2 days, the truth she was about to share. No, but I am doing it anyway. The confrontation. Victoria arrived first. 1:45. in her black Audi, wearing a power suit, heels that clicked on the gravel like gunshots. She walked into the tannery, looked around, wrinkled her nose. "Mom, what is this? This is where your grandmother grew up. It is a disaster. It is a legacy." Nathaniel arrived 10 minutes later, in his sensible Volvo, wearing khakis and a button-down, looking worried. "Mom, are you okay? You sounded... On the phone, you sounded..." "I am fine. Better than fine. Come with me." Kate led them upstairs, to the second floor, to the false wall, to the hole she and June had made with the crowbar. "Mom, what?" "Just come." She stepped through, into Thomas's room. Victoria and Nathaniel followed. Both stopped, stared. "What is this?" Victoria's voice, sharp, suspicious. This is a secret your grandmother kept for 54 years. Kate turned on the lamp, the one Thomas had used to read by. The room came into focus. The bed, the desk, the photographs on the wall. Nathaniel saw them first. "Mom, that is you." He walked closer, looked at the 6 frames. Baby, child, teenager, graduate, bride, mother. "Who took these?" Kate took a breath. "Your great-uncle Thomas. My father. My biological father." Silence. Absolute silence. Then Victoria. "What?" Not a question. A demand. "Telling the story." Kate sat on the bed, gestured to the chairs, the floor, anywhere they could sit. "I need to tell you a story, and I need you to listen, without interrupting, without judging. Just listen." They sat. Victoria on the desk chair, stiff, resistant. Nathaniel on the floor, cross-legged, like he was 10 again. And Kate told them everything. About Thomas going to war, coming home broken, hiding in this room. About Rosemary finding him, visiting him, falling in love with him even though she was married to James. About the night in June 1946. About Kate being born 9 months later. About James knowing, accepting, raising her anyway. About Thomas watching her grow up from this room, loving her from shadows, dying alone in 1971. About Rosemary locking this place, moving away, never speaking of it again. She told them about the letters, the journal, the cassette tape, about discovering, at 78 years old, that her entire identity was built on a secret. When she finished, the room was silent. Nathaniel spoke first. "So, Grandpa James, he was not. We are not. You are Whitfields. James raised me. I raised you. Biology does not change that. But technically, nothing. James was my father, in every way that mattered." Victoria's resistance. Victoria stood, paced, lawyer mode, processing, calculating. Does this change anything legally, the will, the inheritance? Are we... Stop. Kate's voice cut like glass. Victoria stopped. This is not about money, or inheritance, or legal technicalities. This is about family, about the truth, about lies. Victoria turned, eyes hard. Grandma lied to you for your entire life, and you are just, what? Forgiving her? Yes. How? How can you just... Because she did what she thought was right, in an impossible situation. Thomas was her brother, her stepbrother, the man she loved. She could not be with him, could not acknowledge him. So she made a choice. She gave me to James. Let me have a normal life, a father who could be present. But she took away your right to know. She did. And I am angry about that. But I also understand it. Victoria shook her head. I do not. I do not understand how you can be so calm about this. Kate stood, walked to Victoria, looked her in the eye. Because I am 78 years old, and I just discovered I had two fathers. One who gave me life, one who gave me a life. Both love me, both sacrifice for me. And I will not dishonor their memory by being angry. Victoria's jaw tightened. You are too forgiving. Maybe, or maybe I have lived long enough to know that forgiveness is not weakness. It is survival. Nathaniel's apology. Nathaniel stood too, walked to the photographs, touched the frame with baby Kate. He watched you grow up. Yes, he loved you, even though he could never hold you. Yes, Nathaniel's voice cracked. That is, God, Mom. That is heartbreaking. Kate's eyes filled. It is, and it is beautiful, because he chose to love me anyway, even from here, even in secret. She walked to the desk, pulled out the will from her purse, the one the lawyer had given her after Rosemary died. There is something else. She read the clause out loud. The property located at 412 Main Street, Millbrook, Pennsylvania, is bequeathed to Catherine Whitfield, with the following restriction. Said property cannot be sold for financial profit. However, the inheritor may convert the property into a nonprofit organization, memorial or community service facility. Victoria's head snapped up. A nonprofit. Yes. You want to turn this into a nonprofit. I want to turn this into something that matters. What kind of nonprofit? Kate smiled. Small, but certain. A place for women like me. Women whose children think they are too old, too weak, too incompetent to make their own decisions. A place where they can live with dignity, with independence, with respect. Victoria opened her mouth, closed it, sat down hard. Nathaniel looked at Kate. You want to create an assisted living facility. Not assisted living, independent living, with support when needed, but not control, never control. Mom, You wanted me to go to Meadowbrook because you thought I could not take care of myself. But I drove here, 5 hours, by myself. I found this room. I uncovered a family secret. I am standing here right now, telling you both. I am not weak. I am not helpless. I am 78 years old, and I am just getting started. Silence. Long silence. Then Nathaniel. Voice quiet. I am sorry. Kate looked at him. What? I am sorry. For the call. For the ultimatum. For treating you like you were a problem to be solved instead of a person with agency. His voice broke. You are my mom. And I forgot that you are also a woman with dreams and strength, and I am so sorry. Kate walked to him, pulled him into a hug. He was taller than her, had been since he was 15, but in that moment he felt small, like her baby. I forgive you. Victoria's breakdown. She looked at Victoria, who was sitting very still, staring at the floor. Tori. Victoria looked up. Her eyes were wet. I was trying to protect you. I know. I thought if you fell again, if something happened, it would be my fault, because I did not do enough. That is not your job. You are my mother. It is exactly my job. No. Kate's voice was firm. Your job is to love me, not to manage me. There is a difference. Victoria's face crumpled, and for the first time since she was 7 years old, Victoria Whitfield Hart cried in front of her mother. Kate held her, both of her children, in a secret room in a building that held 3 generations of secrets. And she thought, this is what family is. Not perfection, but presence. Not control, but connection. Not blood, but love. 6 months later, the tannery looked different. The windows were no longer boarded. New glass, clean, letting light flood in. The brick had been power washed, the roof repaired, the chain across the door replaced with a ramp, an accessible entrance. A sign hung above the door. The Hayes Whitfield Center Independent Living with Dignity. Established 2025. Kate stood in front of it, 79 years old now. Hips still hurt. Hands still shook sometimes. But she was here, and the center was real. June stood beside her. You did it. We did it. Because June had moved to Millbrook, had sold her house in Connecticut, had become co-director of the center, had been there every day for the last 6 months while contractors rebuilt, while Kate fought with zoning boards and nonprofit regulations and everyone who said it could not be done. But it was done. First floor, community space, library, kitchen, meeting rooms. Second floor, 10 apartments, small but private, for women over 65 who wanted to live independently. who just needed a little support, a little community. Third floor, Thomas's room, preserved exactly as it was. A museum, a memorial, a reminder that secrets have weight and truth has power. Today was opening day. 50 people had shown up. Town council, local press, Helen Kowalski, who had brought cookies, and Victoria and Nathaniel. Victoria had driven up from Boston, taken the day off, brought her daughter, Kate's granddaughter, 16 years old, who had listened to the story about Thomas and cried. Nathaniel had flown in from New York, brought flowers, helped set up chairs. He had apologized 4 more times in the last 6 months. Kate had forgiven him 4 more times. But she knew. He was trying. Both of them were trying. And that was enough. The opening ceremony. The ceremony was simple. Mayor gave a speech about community, about preserving history. Kate gave a speech about family, about dignity, about the right to choose. She spoke about Thomas, about Rosemary, about James. She spoke about being 79 and still learning who she was. She spoke about the women who would live here, who would find safety, independence, a place where being old did not mean being powerless. When she finished, people clapped. Some cried. Helen Kowalski hugged her, whispered. Rosemary would be proud. Kate hoped she was right. The memorial wall after the ceremony, after the crowd dispersed, after the cookies were gone and the chairs were folded. Kate climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, to Thomas's room. She had left it untouched, except for one addition, a memorial wall. 3 photographs, in frames. First, Thomas Joseph Hayes, in uniform, 1943, smiling, young, before the war changed him. Second, Rosemary Ann Hayes, wedding day, 1946, in a simple dress, looking scared and hopeful and beautiful. Third, James Augustus Whitfield, holding baby Kate, 1947, looking at the camera like he was the luckiest man alive. Below the photographs, a plaque. 3 people who loved imperfectly, but deeply. Thomas gave me life. James gave me a life. Rosemary gave me both. They taught me family is not about blood. It is about who shows up. Kate stood in front of the wall, alone. The room was quiet, the way it had been for 25 years while Thomas lived here, the way it had been for 54 years after he died. But it did not feel lonely anymore. It felt full of memory, of love, of truth. Riding to Thomas, Kate sat on the bed, pulled out a notebook from her bag. New notebook, leather bound, a gift from June. She opened to the first page, picked up a pen, and wrote, My name is Catherine Hayes Whitfield. I am 79 years old. For 78 years, I did not know my own story. I thought I was the daughter of James and Rosemary Whitfield. A simple story, a normal family. But I was wrong. I am the daughter of Thomas Hayes and Rosemary Hayes, born from a forbidden love, raised by a man who chose me even though I was not his blood. I am the product of sacrifice, of secrets, of imperfect people trying their best. I have two fathers, one who loved me from shadows, one who loved me in daylight. Both were real. Both mattered. I spent 6 months being angry, being confused, being lost. But I am not lost anymore. I know who I am. I am a woman who fell twice and got up 3 times. I am a woman whose children tried to put her away and who proved them wrong. I am a woman who found a secret room and turned it into a legacy. I am Catherine Hayes Whitfield, and I am not done yet. Kate closed the notebook, set it on the desk, next to Thomas's letters, next to James's journal, next to the cassette tape she had listened to 17 times. She stood, walked to the window, looked out at Millbrook, Pennsylvania, the town her mother had fled, the town Kate had reclaimed, Victoria's understanding behind her. Footsteps. She turned. Victoria stood in the doorway. "Mom, are you okay?" Kate smiled. "I am more than okay." Victoria walked in, looked at the memorial wall. "I read the letters, the ones you left downstairs, Thomas's letters. And I understand now why you forgave them." Victoria's voice was thick. "He loved you so much, Mom, even though he never got to hold you, never got to hear you call him Dad. He loved you." "I know. And Grandpa, James, God, he was a saint." Kate laughed, soft, honest. "He was a man who loved a woman and accepted her child. That is not sainthood. That is just decency. It is more than decency. It is heroic." Kate walked to Victoria, took her hands. "You know what is heroic, you. Coming here today, after I told you about guardianship, after I told you I was forgiving you. You could have stayed away, but you showed up." Victoria's eyes filled. "I am trying to be better. I know. I still worry about you. I know that too. And it is okay. Worry if you need to. Just do not try to control me. I will try. That is all I ask." They stood together, mother and daughter, in a room that had held so many secrets, now holding something new. Truth, forgiveness, understanding. Victoria spoke first. "What is next?" Kate smiled. "I do not know. And that, Tori, that is the most exciting part." The final scene. Kate sat at the desk in Thomas's room one last time, pulled out a blank sheet of paper, wrote, "Dear Thomas, I know now. I know you loved me. I know you watched me grow. I know you wanted to hold me but could not. I know you died alone in this room, heart broken, spirit worn. But I also know something else. You were not alone. You had Rose. You had James. You had me. Even though I did not know it, you were loved. And that matters. I am sorry I never got to meet you. Sorry I never got to say thank you for giving me life, for loving Mom, for being part of my story even though I did not know it. I am sorry you felt you had to hide, but I am grateful, so grateful, that you existed, because without you, I would not be here. I am 79 years old. I have lived longer than you did, but I think, in some ways, you lived more fully than I have, because you loved without condition, without expectation, without reward. That is bravery. That is the kind of love I want to learn. So thank you. Thank you for the letters, for the photographs, for the room. Thank you for being my father. One of two. Both real. Both important. I hope. Wherever you are, you know. You are not forgotten. You are loved. Your daughter, Catherine. Kate folded the letter, placed it in the box with Thomas's letters. 64 now. She stood, walked to the window. The sun was setting over Millbrook, gold and orange and pink, the kind of sunset that made you believe in beauty, in possibility, in second chances. Kate pressed her hand against the glass, felt the coolness, the solidity, the proof that she was here, alive, real. At 79, she had found a secret. At 79, she had found her father. At 79, she had found herself. Behind her, a voice. June. You coming down for dinner? Kate turned, smiled. Yes, just saying good night. To Thomas. To all of them. Thomas, Rosemary, James. To the life I thought I had. To the life I actually have. June walked over, stood beside her at the window. Which do you prefer? Kate thought about Victoria and Nathaniel, about the center, about the women downstairs, about this room, this building, this legacy, about being 79 and still learning, still growing, still becoming. This one, Kate said, the real one, with all its complications, all its secrets, all its messy, imperfect, beautiful truth. June squeezed her hand. Good answer. They walked to the door together. Kate turned off the light, left the room in darkness, but it was not the same darkness as before. Not the darkness of secrets, of hiding, of shame. This was the darkness of rest, of peace, of a story told. Kate closed the door, did not lock it, walked downstairs with June. to dinner, to laughter, to the life she was building. At 79, just getting started.